Hey guys, welcome. We're gonna get started here in just a moment. Meanwhile, you can screenshot this image to save my number and contact information if you're looking for leadership development and personal growth. All right. Let's get started. I was playing around with some new stuff there on the StreamYard and see how that works. So welcome, my friends. Jagoff here with you. I want to pop on with you. Hey, listen, I want you to not confuse. It's in the title. So I want to get right straight to it. Do not confuse a boss and a leader. Do not do that. And let me tell you why. Once you understand why you don't want to confuse the two, you will never, ever again want to be considered a boss. Now, many people like to use the term boss as somebody who is in management, who is above you, who is in charge of you. Okay. And that is true. This person can be above you and in charge and in management. Okay. They can be bosses. We don't want bosses, we want leaders. As a matter of fact, we are in an age right now where we need more leaders because we're too overwhelmed with bosses. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you know exactly because you've been there, done that, you've seen that, you bought the ticket. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. Now, I was inspired to talk about that this morning because I have an acronym for BOSS. It's bully on supervisory status. Did you get that? Bully on supervisory status. That's what a boss is. And when you understand that, you don't want to be that. And when you understand what a leader is, you want to be that. You want to be a leader. You want to be addressed as a leader. You want to be seen as a leader. You want to be remembered as a leader. You want to influence the lives of other people for positive change and growth. That's a leader. See, a boss is all about himself or herself. A leader is all about others. So this morning, I won't mention the guy's name. Some of you may know who he is. He's a very famous, very popular speaker, a genius at marketing. In fact, I personally think he should stay in the lane of marketing and not get into the world of leadership development, because I think as a leader, I don't really consider this guy a leader. Now, he may be a leader in his industry, okay, because he's a fantastic marketer. I won't mention his name here. But I saw something on LinkedIn this morning, and he talked about what good leaders and bad leaders are. And that's what I want to talk to you about. You see, this individual believes that good leaders trust their employees. I'll give him a point for that. Good leaders do trust your employees. Why? Because you hire trustworthy employees. You hire trustworthy people. But I don't believe that we should call them employees. We should call them team members. We should call them partners in our organization, because when you break it down, they are team members and partners in the organization. Without them, you have no business. Without them, you have no organizational profits either. You have nothing. So they are partners in the organization, team members of the organization. But employees, let me tell you what Dave Ramsey said. Dave says that employees, they will clock in late, check out early, and steal your money on the way out the door. Okay? That's what employees do. Employees are there to clock in late, check out early, steal your money on the way out. You say, what do you mean steal your money? Okay, if you got people in your office right now that are like 15 minutes till time to clock out, and they've already shut everything down, you're still paying them 15 minutes of wages for doing nothing but waiting on the clock. That's called stealing your money. Stealing company time and money, as well as when they clock in late, that's time that has to be made up. So on average, we're paying 7.5 hours for a person who shows up 15 minutes late and checks out 15 minutes early. I didn't say clock out 15 minutes early. I said check out. So those are employees. But a good leader will trust their employees. I was sharing this with a gentleman yesterday. I said, here's the thing, my friend. I said, when we talk about leadership, leaders need to come into an organization with a with a 0, an understanding, a 0 on the trust scale on their influence. But you got to walk in as a leader and give everybody a 10. You got to see a 10 on every one of their heads. And your job as a leader is, 1, earn their trust, not demand it. That's 1. Number 2, show them how to maintain that 10 on your trust scale, on your trust meter. Okay? So that's what you get to do. So we start off with a 0, but we give a 10 to them. We help them maintain the 10. And every time that we show trust in our team members, boom, another point. Second thing this gentleman says, motivate through empathy. Empathy is great. Every leader needs to understand what empathy is. Every leader needs to have that as part of one of their character traits. Empathy. But I don't believe that we motivate. You see, I believe motivation is an inside job. Now, we can inspire and influence through empathy. But motivation is an inside job. That comes from the individual. Now, you can do everything through inspiration and influence to help them seek out that which motivates them. If you understood the 5 love languages, you know that the 5 love languages is do unto others as they would have you to do unto them. It's a platinum rule. It's not do unto others as you would have them to do for you. That's the golden rule. In other words, if I wanted let's say if let's talk about travel. Let's say if I wanted to go to the mountains of Kentucky. This is an example. But my wife did not like the mountains of Kentucky. Maybe my wife doesn't like the mountains, and maybe she didn't like Kentucky. But that's where I wanted to go. So, hey, for you, I'm going to take us to the mountains of Kentucky. No, that is not doing unto others as they would have you to do unto them. You see, you do that for them, hoping that they will say, yes, I'd like to do that for you as well. That's the golden rule. But the platinum rule is do unto the others as they would have you to do unto them. It's just like the love languages. Okay, so motivation comes from within. Empathy is a character trait everybody should possess. Now, the third thing that this gentleman says, I'm not mentioning his name, but you would know him if I mentioned his name. He believes that to handle hard conversations with care. This is good. Handle hard conversations with care. I would also like to add, as I as a military leader, former military leader, I would always say candor and care. Candor and care. You want care, but you got to be honest as well. So you want candor and care. Okay, now here's what he says bad leaders do. Now this is the thing that gets me. A leader is an influencer. My mentor, my friend John Maxwell says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. That's influence. Now, there is bad influence, so therefore there could be bad leaders. Am I correct? Say yes. Yes, I am. There is bad influencers. Now, bad influencing, people that can influence you to do something is a leader. They're leading you down a wrong path if it's a bad thing, or they're leading you in a good way if it's a good thing they're doing. So leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, because we're all influenced by something or someone. But what I will say is this. If there are bad leaders, I would call them a boss, not a leader. Because I truly believe that leadership is leading towards positive influence and positive change. You can have guides, that's a boss. You can have dictators, that's a boss. I mean, Hitler was a boss, he was not a leader, yet he led people with bad influence. But I would call him a boss. So it says, micromanage your employees. Micromanaging employees is not good. I would also include that macromanaging can be just as harmful. There's micromanagement, there's macromanagement, there's mismanagement, and there's management. Okay? Learn those 4 things. In my programs with Golf Impact Consulting, a lot of it's influenced by John Maxwell. A lot of it's influenced by my military experience, my experience in ministry, my experience in retail sales, and as a manager there. Many of these things come about. So I know the differences between micro, macro, miss, and management. Good management. So those are the things. You can be a leader and be a great manager. You can be a great manager. You can be a boss and be a great manager. Remember, management is about systems, operations, policies, procedures. It's not about people. People are led, not managed. So micromanaging your employees or macro-managing or mismanagement of your employees. Now, I did use the word employees. Why? Because as a leader, you look at your people as teammates and partners in the business. But as a boss, you look at them as employees. You look at them as a number. You look at them as resources. You look at them as another cog in the system to keep your money running. Okay, that's what employees are to bosses. The second thing this gentleman says that they motivate, rather than motivating through empathy, they motivate through fear. I already went through my interpretation of motivate. I won't break that down for you, except to say it's an inside job, not an outside job. Motivate through fear. Now, what I always like to say is that a boss intimidates using fear as their tactic. In fact, what I actually say is bosses intimidate for compliance using fear, whereas a leader uses influence for commitment using faith. That's believing in people. I'll say it again. Bosses intimidate for compliance using fear. A leader influences for commitment using faith. That's the difference. Okay? So leaders actually influence others to move. Leaders influence others and inspire them to discover the motivation within them to keep moving. Motivation is, if you think about the big mo. The big mo is the big motion. The big mo is the big movement. The big mo is the motivate. All that comes from movement. Movement comes from within and not without. We are inspired and influenced but on the outside, but we are motivated on the inside to move. So motivation is an inside thing. So I don't inspire or influence through fear. I inspire and influence through faith in my people, creating an environment that causes them to be committed, not merely compliant to rules. And then the third thing this gentleman says, whom will still remain not nameless, but if I mention him, you would know who he is. I'll just say that he is a marketing genius, and I'll leave it at that. But he said, shout at their employees. That's what bad bosses do. Bad bosses, bullies on supervisory status. They shout. That's a normal thing for a boss. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to connect. It's a my way or the highway. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay? Do what I tell you to do, or don't let the door hit you with the good Lord split you. You see, that's not connecting with your people. That's not committing to your people. That's not communicating with people. That's intimidation for compliance. Hence, a boss. You see, leaders never feel the need to shout. Matter of fact, leaders feel the need to listen. A leader will never have to shout. Matter of fact, if you're in conversation with one of your team members, you're doing more listening than talking. Think of the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule. Listen 80% of the conversation and respond 20. In that 20%, you're responding to what they're saying, or you're asking, or you're giving guidance, or you're asking more questions. I did a talk a while back that the 80-20 is 80% you listening, 20% you talking. The 20% now breaks into another 80-20%. Okay, you're going to be doing more asking questions than you are giving answers, because you want to develop leaders. You don't want to develop followers. You want to develop leaders. That's what leaders do. So they don't shout at their employees. That's not what a leader does. I pulled up a quote by Miles Monroe earlier. Miles Monroe, he says, leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by passion. Do you have passion in your people? Do you have passion in your purpose? Do you have passion in the products and the profits of your organization? Remember, profits come from your people, not from you. Profits actually come from the people who create the products. Everything comes back down to the baseline of the people. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by passion, generated by vision, produced by a conviction, and ignited by a purpose. And I would add in there, ignited for a purpose as well. That is Dr. Miles Monroe. So, what is a boss? What is a leader? When you understand the difference between the two, you'll never, ever again want to be considered a boss. You'll be able to recognize the boss immediately when you know these things. Now, what do you do if you happen to work for a boss and you're not the boss? You're not the person in charge. You're not the manager. You're not the CEO. You're not the president. What do you do if you're on the team? You're a team member. You're on the ground forces, if you will. You're one of the ground forces. You're fighting the battles every single day. You're the ones with your hands getting dirty every day, following the directions and instructions of other people. What do you do if you have a boss and you don't have a leader? Well, my friends, I would encourage you to lead up. Lead up. Be the influencer. John Maxwell has 5 levels of leadership. 5 levels of leadership. And they're positions. So the first one is positional leadership. You get an assignment. The second one is people. You're winning the trust of the people. The third one is productivity. Fourth one is I got to go back and look at that. I'm brain cramping on that. But John has his 5, and what I realized is all that was based upon a person in charge of other people. And what I realized is that there's actually 2 other levels of leadership. And the first two, it's not intertwined in between yet, or it's not inserted in between those other levels. It's actually intertwined through them, but it begins in the very beginning. First 2 is personal leadership. Can I lead myself well? The second one is peer leadership. Can I lead others around me? Although I am not in charge, am I an influencer? Am I adding value? Do I help my fellow team members succeed? When you can do that, we know who the true leader is. If you go into an organization, you can ask people, who is the leader? When they understand what a leader is, who is the real leader in this organization? More times than not, I can promise you this, probably 90% of the time, they're going to point to one of their peers. So you can lead upward and outward. Upward and outward. Lead your peers, and then also be that influence for your leadership. Support them. You know, leading is a tough gig. Leading is a tough gig. I like to say, in fact, I think I got it on one of my profiles, is leadership is not for wimps. It's not for wimps. If you think you're going to come in for the prestige of it, you're going to fall flat on your face and land on your butt, not on your feet. Leadership is not for wimps. So if you're not in that position of authority over other people, you are in authority of yourself, and you are also building your influence around others, and they will look to you as an authority. Not just as an authority figure, but as an authority in your craft. And your ability to connect and communicate with other people around you is going to help you be able to navigate the rough waters of a boss when you have that in your midst. So we can talk about that on another day, on how do I handle a boss if I work for a boss and I don't work for a leader, what do I do as a team member? I want to talk about that, because leadership really starts with self. It starts with me. And then it goes to we. And then when you get into a position of authority, leadership is all about others, not self. Okay? So it starts with me, goes to we, and then others. And when you're in a position, leadership is never about myself, but I must lead myself first well before I can ever lead others. I think you would agree to that. All my friends, leave your comments down below. Give your thoughts to it. Let me know what you think about being a boss versus being a leader. Let me know if you are a boss. Let me know that. You can private message me or post it in the comments and let other people chime in too as well. You know, you've discovered that our personal growth actually works better when we have a community of other like-minded individuals on the same journey, adding their input. You know, as a guitar player, and I'm mentoring our son and daughter-in-law and my wife on guitar playing and vocals and things, the one thing I told them, I said, I love more than anything teaching. I love learning and jamming out with other people that are on the growth journey. Whether maybe I'm a few steps ahead, maybe I'm a few steps behind, but you know what? Even then, if I'm a few steps ahead, and I told my students when I was a military leader, as a leadership instructor, developing leaders, I told them I was going to learn so much more to them, and I was looking forward to it. And I did. I learned so much more from the people I was leading that helped me become a better leader, a better influencer, a better person. And so you do that. So you'll learn that with your peers. You want to surround yourself with the same kind of people that are on the same journey. All right, my friends. So I put this on my Happy Hour Leadership YouTube page, as well as my personal private, personal public Facebook page. If you like this, share it with others. If you learn something, share it with others. And if you'd like to know more, shoot me a message. I think I put my email. No, I put my phone number, but I also put my johncmaxwellgroup.com website in the links down below as well. So contact me, look at that, check it out. And there's a lot of things we can do, a lot of tools we can bring in. And here's the thing, my friend. Not only would you get me to come in, you've got also more than 42,000 other members of the John Maxwell, of Maxwell Leadership Team with me that I always lean on as well. So let me know what I can do for you, my friends. Hope this was able to add value to you, and I'll see you the next time I pop on. Who knows when it is, because I don't. All right, my friends. God bless. Bye-bye.